Hello and welcome to the Not Bohemian Grove podcast. We got a new guest here, Nolan. You want to introduce yourself?
Hi.
Yo. Not Bohemian Grove podcast. On a scale of 1 to 10, how normal would you consider yourself to be?
I would say probably around the range of a 7.
A 7? Okay. Why'd you give yourself a higher than a 5?
Well, quite simply, I don't think I stack up in strangeness factor to your other guests.
That's true.
I don't believe in imaginary friends. I don't believe in fairies. I have no waifu.
No waifus. Alright. So, what have you got?
What do you mean, what do I got?
For the show.
I got a whole lot of nothing.
Nice.
I guess we could jump in with a random subject of, I was telling you about it before the show, but I am in contact with the drawer of a particular infamous internet comic called Two Babies, One Fox.
The forbidden comic.
The mere mention of this comic gives a lot of people PTSD, and I don't blame them because it's some pretty heinous shit.
Yeah, you can never look away from Tails' shit-eating grin.
That's not even the part that it's scat isn't even the worst part. It's pedophilic scat. Pedophilic furry scat. Pedophilic furry sonic scat.
Yeah.
The degeneracy level has never been higher. And a lot of people don't know this, but the creators of that were so bold and so incredibly full of themselves, they made a sequel, which is actually even worse. It's self-insert, this comic. The guy who wrote it, his name is Unistar, and he is the blue rabbit with a star on his head. His mother figure is also a self-insert for the illustrator named Lonnie. The sequel is centered around their children, Unistar and Lonnie. Unistar's a baby, so that's confusing on how he was able to impregnate this mother figure. So Unistar, the baby, is raping 2 young newborns, and then the mother finds them, gives him shit, and then it joins in with more scat. I have it saved. It's very hard to find on the internet, actually. I think there's only like one page that still has it, because a lot of places just ban it.
Huh.
For my friend who likes to post that whenever he doesn't like what's going on in a thread. So now he has both editions.
I kind of wanted to do more, like, interesting history stuff a little bit. Yeah, because I assumed that you were, like, more of a history buff or something. But I do think it's interesting. Like, the Coca-Cola wars in the 80s.
I don't know much about that, but I do know about the memes Coca-Cola death squads. And I know the fact that Coca-Cola did allegedly hired a bunch of militiamen in South America to fight government forces so they could secure supplies of cheap Coca-Cola ingredients or something.
Yeah, a similar thing happened with the bananas in, I think Guatemala it was. The government was full of people who worked at, like, food companies, and they, like, sent soldiers in there and stuff.
The United Fruit Company, or now Chica Banana, I think that was it. Or Dole, I can't remember. One of those two. Owns that country, basically, and employs something like 50% of the people in it. Don't quote me on that. I don't actually know the percentages, but it's literally insane that you can have a company just running a country, and the government's a farce.
Yeah, totally.
All for bananas.
All for bananas. Did you know that at one point, Pepsi was the 6th largest military in the world?
Oh, yes, I do know about this. I was actually going to mention that with the Coca-Cola death squads, how Pepsi could have gone to war with Coca-Cola.
So what happened was, back in 1959, then President Dwight Eisenhower wanted to bring American culture to the Soviet Union to show them the benefits of capitalism. So they arranged for the American National Exhibition in Moscow. And they showed, like, models of houses and stuff, commercial appliances, and it was to show the type of home any American citizen could afford. Eisenhower didn't go, but Vice President Richard Nixon did, and then Nixon was arguing with then Soviet leader Khrushchev about communism versus capitalism in a model kitchen, so it's called the kitchen debate. And they televised it. It was one of the first, like, really big televised events, really. After they were arguing, the Vice President of Pepsi handed Khrushchev a little thing of Pepsi, and he drank it and liked it. So there's a...
You remember that ad that everyone got in Pepsi's case about where Kylie Jenner stopped a riot with Pepsi?
Oh, yeah.
Well, there was one time where Pepsi literally did stop a fight between 2 global superpowers, so maybe Pepsi does actually have that bragging right.
Yeah. So, you know, they took a picture of it. It was great marketing for Pepsi. Khrushchev's drink of choice, Pepsi, and had little pictures around, you know, on billboards and stuff. So years later, the Soviet Union wanted to strike a deal that would bring Pepsi products to the country. But their money wasn't accepted. NATO wouldn't accept Soviet cash. So what they did was they transferred...
also Soviet cash was incredibly unstable. It was just like, this shit changes every day. If we let you buy with this, it would be worthless tomorrow.
Yeah. What they did was that they traded vodka for Pepsi. So the company was paid in vodka, and it became the first American product to be sold in Russia. Pepsi was. Time skip, we're in the late 1980s, and Russia's initial agreement to serve Pepsi was going to expire. But the vodka wasn't going to cover the cost anymore because there's so much damn Pepsi. It's $3 billion worth of Pepsi. So they did what any country would do in desperate times. They traded Pepsi 17 submarines, a cruiser, and a destroyer for $3 billion worth of Pepsi, making them the 6th most powerful military force in the world.
There's an alternate universe where Pepsi just turned on some small country and invaded them.
Yeah, they invaded Madagascar. Their fleet.
Pepsistan.
Pepsistan.
Every time Coca-Cola would get jealous and hire a bunch of death squads in Pepsistan.
And then every time you buy Pepsi, you're supporting war crimes. So they did sell all that stuff to Sweden for scrap metal, and they were only 6th most powerful military briefly, but damn, that would be pretty cool.
They could have just kept it.
Yeah, I need a fan fiction of that shit where Pepsi becomes a military force as a corporation.
That's some Fallout shit. That sounds like a plot line from Fallout.
Yeah.
Nuka-Cola buys experimental military power armor. Pepsi buys a military fleet.
Another interesting fact was Coca-Cola saw a great market in the Saudi Arabia because of the dry, hot desert environment and their ban on alcohol. So to appeal, Coke refused to sell to Israel. But then all the Jews in New York found out and organized a big boycott around New York on Coca-Cola. So they decided, domestic was more important, so they agreed to sell to Israel, and led to Arabs boycotting Coke. And so Pepsi, seeing the Coke boycott, swooped right into that market. And now Pepsi was all about Saudi Arabia's drink is there too.
So Pepsi is the drink of choice of Arabs.
And Russians.
And ISIS.
Yes.
And Russians. Pepsi is the axis of evil.
Coca-Cola was all American.
War.
Pepsi
Cold
was trying
war over cold drinks.
Yes.
Hopefully the can doesn't explode.
Oh man, there should be a map of the world as Pepsi versus Coca-Cola. It'd be Cold War, yeah, the cold beverage war.
Well, because I actually thought about that for the first time in a long time. That ad with Kylie Jenner stopping a riot with Pepsi.
Yeah,
and that just reminded me about how lazy most YouTubers on the platform seem to be. Where they all swarm in on one topic, and you can just watch the same topic for a week.
Yeah, exactly.
From a person.
Have you seen that video? That was thoughts on women in Battlefield 5, and it's 50 minutes long.
Criticizing Battlefield 5 for the women angle is actually really lazy.
Yeah.
Because the biggest concern with that was, I'm pretty sure I read somewhere that the guns in that game don't have bullet spread, making every gun a laser gun. So getting sniped across the map with an M1 Browning is a real thing. That all the YouTubers swarming in reminded me of something I wanted to ask you about. What do you think the worst YouTube trend was?
I don't know. I don't want to go back too far. Minecraft Let's Plays. No, No, actually, yeah, it was Minecraft music videos and stuff. That was the worst trend.
Minecraft music videos are actually a very strange phenomenon.
Yeah,
because they're called parodies, but they're not actually parodies, because parodies are funny.
Yeah,
and make fun of the original song. Weird Al, that's a parody.
Yeah, it's a parody.
Making the lyrics about Minecraft is not a parody. That's what would that be? That would just be a redubbing, abridged song, abridged.
It's the eye of the spider. Do, do, do. Good stuff.
And the strangest thing was that a lot of those had really good production quality.
Yeah, because they knew it would get a lot of views. So actually, it was Finger Family
for children.
Finger Family was the worst trend.
Finger Family was the worst trend. Well, Finger Family, you can actually make sense of, because Finger Family was people trying to con the algorithm on YouTube to basically force children to watch their videos.
Yeah.
The thing about Minecraft music videos is people knew they were clicking on that shit. And when I was 13, I was all about that. And now I just look back on it and go, why? All it is just a song that's much better when it's not about Minecraft. But now I'm out about Minecraft.
Don't Mine at Night. God damn it.
I assume you've seen the Pony cover of that.
Yeah, that's the one I was singing.
That's weird. Fallout has that too. Like, just the bronies like infiltrate every community and decide to make like some weird pony mod for everything.
Yeah, well, that's mostly because of the Fallout one was because of the Fallout Equestria fanfiction, which spawned a sequel spin-off fanfiction called Project Horizons, which is 2 million words long. So I should say that.
I've heard Fallout Equestria is one of the longest fanfictions written.
But Project Horizons was even longer.
Fallout Equestria is very deep-seated because there's mods for games that have nothing to do with Fallout that make it about Fallout Equestria. There's one for Civ. There was a whole thing with Yogscast back in the day where I think they found the perfect combination. It was during the time when Minecraft was big, and the pony mod for Minecraft was big. And Fallout Equestria was big, so they did a Fallout Equestria series in Minecraft.
Perfect.
And it got a lot of views.
It's like Proto Finger Family. You just throw enough stuff together. Honestly,
I think the Yogscast were like the Chads of the Minecraft community in general, though, because if you listen to like their team, there was so much preparation that went into all of their videos. I'm not going to say high production value, but compared to other YouTubers at the day, I understand why they were so popular.
Yeah, definitely.
Now what do? Make Kickstarters that cause scandals and hire new people who are way more talented than them. That just reminded me that they have a D&D thing now. I don't watch them anymore. I just heard about it because a friend of mine brought a set of metal dice to a Pathfinder game, and I went, "Ooh, metal dice," which is the mark that you will never, ever sleep with a woman when you are excited about metal dice. But that made me want to ask you, Charles, do you play any tabletop RPG?
One time back in school, I had a D&D friend, and he kind of introduced me and some other people who never played before. And then after that, I never played it again.
Did you enjoy yourself, though?
Yeah, it was fun, definitely. I wouldn't mind doing it again.
A good DM can make or break everything. And tabletops are basically like, if you're into tabletops, you're like a Chad of gaming in general. Like, it's not a very far jump from going, RPGs don't give me my fix anymore. I want a plot line that can constantly change. It can change as much as the DM is flexible.
It feels more random.
But not random, but this is that
more can happen. That's what I meant to say. More can happen.
If it's themed specifically, like say you just finished a game of Elder Scrolls and you're like, oh man, I wish there was more of this, but now I have to wait like 7 years. But with a tabletop, you could be like, I just finished this campaign in tabletop. Now I only have to wait like 5 days when my friend makes up a new plot. And if the DM's a good writer and a good game maker, it could be just as enjoyable as having like a bunch of writers working on all the graphics for a game and putting it all together like that. Especially if you enjoy the story aspects more.
You know, I have like a circle of like MLP friends who are really into fan fiction and like really, really into it. And I was just talking to them about it, and they're like, yeah. You know, these are the fanfictions they read, and they link me like 10 of them into like 1 million words each and stuff. Like, oh, geez. All you do is read fanfiction.
I've observed with Pony community that a lot of their stuff is very high quality. And it's weird. Like, high quality as like opposed to other fandoms. It's not high quality compared to like the base content, but like they have a lot of like very talented artists working on it. They have a lot of semi-talented writers. They have games, like fan-made games made about it that are half decent.
Yeah, I think it's also because Blaze became mainstream around when the internet was kind of becoming mainstream. Around that 2011, 2013 era. That's when, more people were coming on Facebook, more people were coming on YouTube. It was kind of like a big transitional phase, I guess.
Well, this influx of quality made them very, like, viral almost.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of it also brought in a lot of bad people, though. And it led to them getting a lot of shit. Like, for a while, furries were almost accepted on the internet, and it was all about hating the bronies. They had so much talent behind it, it just, like, drew in a bunch of people.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even be surprised if a lot of people who are bronies hadn't even seen the show.
Oh, definitely. They're called fans of the fandom.
I watched, like, 2 episodes of the show, just to see why everyone was about it. It's pretty good for a kid's show.
Yeah.
But, like, at the same time, I don't understand why it garnered this much.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering who was the first brony?
The first brony was Chris Chan.
Is that what Chris Chan claimed?
He was saying is he was attracted to Megan, and Megan was into ponies before the new generation came out, so he was ready for it, when the new show came out. But no, the first brony was like some co-anon who said
you have to be pretty damn brave to go, I like My Little Pony. And what compelled you to keep watching it?
Well, the first episode was a cliffhanger, so everyone had to watch the second part. The thing is, back then was watching like Powerpuff Girls, Dexter's Lab, all of that stuff. That was what they were watching. So, it's because the creator of My Little Pony, Lauren Faust, worked on Powerpuff Girls and Dexter's Lab, and that's why that's where the names came to me, but because I was remembering the script of my video where I talked about that. So Lauren Faust and her husband did Powerpuff Girls and Dexter's Lab, and that's why those two names came to me.
Speaking of which, do you think there need to be more boards on 4chan?
Huh. I like when the history board, History and Humanities came. I was like, yeah, obviously History and Humanities should be a board. I mean, 4chan is just getting bigger and bigger. Honestly, yeah, just because of the size and all the the Donald people coming or whatever.
That's one thing I think 4chan needs: right pole and left pole. Although that's a great way to get Interpol raids. Interpol, International Police.
Yeah.
No, they visit the people on B's house.
Do you know? Oh, speaking of B, do you know about Jizmas?
No, I do not know about Jizmas.
Every Christmas Day, one Anon would go on B and post the bottles he filled of his jizz over the years. And every year...
Oh, actually, I think I have heard of this, but I didn't know the name Jizmas.
Yeah, he's called Jesus Christ or something. Something like that. It's been a tradition on B since at least 2008 or 2009, around that era. Yeah, and then I just saw the image from this year, and I was like, oh shit, I forgot about Jizmas. That's an old tradition, but he's still doing it. He has 10 years worth of jizz. I'm a serial B-tart. It's pretty much the only board I browse, really. I look at trash occasionally. People would disagree with me, but I would think it was probably around the last year that B was more than just porn spam and actual spam about Elon Musk's watch site. I assume you've seen some of that, where it's just spam bots set out and they're like, hey, look at this. Do you think it was him? And they link to watch sites where you can buy watches for 1 cent. Oh yeah, I think so, because I was browsing G, and there's a watch general on G. I think they were talking about it, because I was scrolling past it. It's funny.
You know what's funny? G likes analog watches. You'd think they'd be into digital watches.
It's more like the machinery of it is what is interesting to that type of person, is the internals and how watching parts move and stuff. The only one they like is Casio. The one I have, the Casio fucking F91W and the CA53 calculator watch. 2 watches I have right now in my hands.
Do you know about the the spy from TF2's watch? I'm pretty sure that's what it was modeled off. The HP smartest watch. It was this watch in the mid 70s, digital before they had figured out the current displays for them.
Yeah.
So it was actually properly light up, and it was not energy efficient whatsoever.
Oh yeah, that's a good watch.
And it was pure gold. It looked like the most 70s retro thing ever.
Yes.
And it had a calculator, and for the 70s, that's amazing. That a watch is a watch without hands. And not only that, it's a calculator. It also does timing and stuff, and the display is absolutely beautiful compared to normal digital watches.
Yeah, because it's all red LED, yeah. Good stuff. I've watched a video on that, because there was one point while I was getting into watches.
I went through a watch phase. I was going to buy that watch, and then I went, might as well just buy a smartwatch.
Yeah.
Then I didn't. I got one of those Fossil Q watches. They're analog, but they're also smartwatches, and they display notifications by moving the hands to certain points.
Oh, cool. There's this Casio watch that's incredibly rare, but it's an FM transmitter, and you can but it's out of production and it's $1,000 or whatever, but it's really cool. You press the button on it, and you can speak into it, and then the radio will pick up that signal, and then you can amplify what you're saying into the nearby radio. That's what it did. You can put it right next to the speaker of your music, and then it will transmit it over the radio. Yeah. It's one of those. That's why it's really cool. There's also...
What is the utility of that?
To like spook people out. Just when someone's playing the radio, you just speak into it and be like, "This is a test of the emergency broadcast system."
I'm gonna guess that the idea behind that is that you could go on stage and like hook into a speaker system or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. But you think they just mic you up? I can't imagine the microphone quality was too great on that.
Radios are also cool. And there's people who have like this huge amateur radio stations. They have like a 1960s Discord voice chat over ham radio.
Oh no, I thought you were talking about people who use ham radios to hook into Discord, and I was like, what?
I'm saying it's like a Discord voice chat. This website where you can use the website to go into a radio like device capture, and you can just explore the entire frequency of radio, not just what your car radio can go to, but like all the frequencies. And what people will do is they'll explore this radio station because it has like a visualizer, and you can actually see the sound waves emitting all over the sound spectrum. And I would like go around and like find like conversations in like foreign languages, and just two people going like ham radio. It's like blah 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 over boop, blah 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 over boop. I did this
There's
like
a lot of frequencies that are actually illegal to broadcast on.
Yeah, there are.
Like most radios can't go to them. Like for example, Coast Guard radio. Don't broadcast on that. They will get mad at you. Apparently, there's a way if you have a ham radio and you track people down who are broadcasting over it because it's short range or shorter range. Using some way you can actually like find out where someone is using it. Which I'm gonna imagine that's how they use people or find people who are using the frequencies illegal.
I was talking to some guy who is a trucker. And he was saying that sometimes what they would do is they like say, oh hey, here's this asshole with this license plate in this car, and then all the trucks will like bridge around it, and like there'll be a truck on the left side and truck on the right side and truck in front of the car they said was an asshole. And before the internet, what they would do was they like pull him off the side and beat him up. They would use ham radio to tell.
Truckers get a bad rap. You have to wonder what kind of person would just say, actually, I'm just going to be a nomad.
Yeah.
And be away from the people I care about all the time. And I can't imagine they get paid very well.
Yeah. Self-driving cars will fix that, though.
If Elon Musk stops being an idiot on Twitter, maybe he can get his self-driving Tesla Semi on the road.
Elon Musk, also known as the Eggman, will power his cars with small animals.
No, Elon Musk won't power his cars with small animals. He'll power his cars with electric small animals. Energizer Bunny. So, I purchased the reproduction model of the Model M.
Oh, the Model M keyboard. The holy grail of keyboard.
It's really good, and it's got an incredible amount of weight to it.
Yeah.
Like, my all-metal mechanical keyboard is not as heavy as this keyboard. And it is well worth the money. And that got me thinking about how some things in technology do get better and better and better over time, but some things like keyboards and mice kind of just stay the same.
Yeah.
And you can have something from like 30 years ago that's like, they don't make them like that anymore.
Yeah. They have to save money, so they make it like... Or you have to save space, or, like on a keyboard, you have to make it as flat as possible so they can play on a laptop.
Yeah, but with like other parts of a computer, like for example, like the processor, you can't say, "Oh, they don't make them like that anymore," because that's only improved. And a processor from 20 years ago is garbage and worthless now.
Well, like a CRT monitor, that's the example everyone will point to about they can do things other ones can't.
But this is true. Yeah, CRTs can have the highest refresh rate
and higher pixel density and all that.
But everyone wants a flat monitor.
Yeah.
One without glare. But yeah, the keyboards from 20 years ago are still perfectly good. And in some cases even better.
Yeah, that's one of my topics is, vinyl revolution, people like taking pictures of real film and stuff. And how like people say, oh, you'll be able to physically hold your music, or having to manually replace the film on your camera makes it feel more important.
I have bought 3 vinyls of obscure music because I do like vinyl. Yeah. I don't always listen to them. It feels like you have a connection to your music when you actually do buy the album on vinyl.
My dad has a record player and like a whole bunch of old vinyls, and sometimes we'd go to a store and pick up old music and stuff. Oh, and also he's into hip hop, so sometimes we'll like scratch it and make scratch sounds and fuck it up because it's old and like $1 each. So who cares?
I think you use vinyl when you really want to experience an album.
Definitely. It's like the difference between going on YouTube to watch the new album on YouTube and then buying it, coming home, putting it in, sitting down, dropping the needle, you know.
When you play something on vinyl, you pay attention to it, or you use it as background noise because you don't actually want to like control the music. Like I have a bunch of jazz vinyls, and that's the only thing I use them for. Is just whenever people are over, I'll put on a jazz vinyl.
My dad has a 5 CD disc changer. So what you just put in 5 CDs on this like spinning tray, and then when one CD ends, it spins to the next one. So he just has he can
like a
do that.
jukebox.
Well, limited to only 5, but basically yes. So he has 5 CDs laid on there, and then he'll put it on play and set it to skim through all 5, and then after the 5th one, it'll be turned back to the first one. Oh yeah, definitely also the ability to like skip and rewind and stuff. You can't do that on vinyl. You have to manually lift the needle and stuff.
You also kind of have to guess where the song will begin.
It's also like that with YouTube videos, because with YouTube videos, whenever I want to see something again, I'll just hit the arrow key and I'll go 5 seconds back. But if I'm watching like a VHS tape or a DVD, I can't just go 5 seconds back. I have to like really enjoy it, you know.
Well, here's the difference. When I want to listen to music, and do something else, I play it on my Bluetooth speaker off my Google Play account.
Yeah.
And it's just on shuffle and no particular album. But when I want to listen to music and just listen to the music and enjoy the album, I'll listen to it on vinyl. Because when you're putting on vinyl, you can't shuffle it. And it's played exactly how the artist intended in the order that they intend. It also makes good decoration. Good conversation pieces. Like, oh, you have a Jack Stauber Pop Food vinyl.
The vinyl cover is so big, and it's the art of your album art. So you can have like the physical art, you can just hold it, you know.
Instead most come with download codes for the actual album now.
Yeah.
As well. The records themselves can look very nice. When the album's color is pink, and then you get a bright pink vinyl, and you're like, ooh, that's unique.
Yeah, you can't do that with what's on that. Digital download. You just have like a pink text on your MP3 name or something. Dumb.
I think it ultimately comes down to people want to touch their music. For most people, why the vinyl revolution is, why vinyls are back and why reel-to-reel has not made a comeback.
Yeah, reel-to-reel doesn't look cool. There was actually a DJ in Russia who instead of because DJs will scratch records, they'll have two records playing at the same time to rewind it. There's a DJ in Russia who does that with reel-to-reel tapes. Because you could spin a reel-to-reel tape just like a record. You can scratch it, just wah, 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 and play it the same scene 5 times. And he would do that with reel-to-reel, and it was cool.
But reel-to-reel had a lot of problems. For example, if you want to play the other side, if you want to play a reel-to-reel, you want to play the other side of it, because the tapes are just like records. Where the one side has half the album and the other side has the other half.
Yeah.
If you wanted to play that, you have to take it off and then turn it around and rewind it through the thing. It's a VCR without a cover. Yeah. Is what it is.
Yeah, and then in cassette tapes, you just flip the cassette around and then put it back in.
Well, cassette doesn't have the best quality.
Yeah.
But reel-to-reel was the highest quality you could get at the time.
You couldn't put that in your Walkman, though.
This is true.
It's fucking Guardians of the
Galaxy. A lot of reel-to-reel albums actually, for some goddamn reason, decided to dual track on each side. So the music was half as quality. So it just didn't even make sense why you would have a reel-to-reel machine. We get into a conversation about Betamax.
Yes.
Because I've never seen a company screw up something as hard as Betamax.
When they used their beta tapes in production and movies and stuff and TV, they had a set 90-minute limit, and they're oh well, that's fine for consumers too, or an hour limit. And then VHS was well, we got 6 hours if you want it to be really shitty quality, so people could record their football games and stuff.
Well, not only that, but Betamax was also very restrictive about their patents and stuff.
Oh yeah.
And VHS was just here, come on in.
Betamax didn't want porn on it.
And Betamax was objectively superior in quality to every way to VHS.
But the truth is,
very big.
The average consumer doesn't care that much about quality. They care more about.
This is true.
The average consumer will be I'll stick with standard definition. I won't stick with HD.
Oh yeah, I hardly care about HD stuff. After 720, I don't care.
My mom had a TV from 2007 and never changed it. She's like, well, it's just a bigger TV. I'm like, well, you want a smart TV, and you can't even, like, Google Chromecast this shit.
For example, a company up in Canada where I live, TELUS, sells smart TV boxes. So you could have a CRT just hooked into a smart TV box.
Huh.
I think they kind of went with a winning idea on that.
That's a good idea, actually.
Where you don't even need a smart TV. Every TV is a smart TV. That comes with fiber internet.
Yeah, the really early VCRs were, like, all wood. And that was all 70s. That was really cool. All the VCRs after that were all metal. That's
something that makes me sad, is the fact that wood grain is gone.
Ah, yeah, wood grain.
Even when I'm on /K, on the rare occasion I browse it, people are posting all these metal weapons, and I'm like, what's wrong with wood? Why can't we make anything out of wood anymore?
The polymer weighs less.
Looks nicer. Makes me feel better about my weapon. Yeah. Although wooden cannons were a thing.
Oh, nice.
They didn't last very long, but they were a thing.
Did you know that back when one of the really, really first movies where they shot a cannon into the moon, and it was like, a picture of the moon's like...
Oh yes, Boom to the Moon.
Yeah. Rockets didn't exist back then, so they just thought that the only way you'll travel to the moon is by having really, really powerful cannons. That's funny.
It's fairly logical, though, when Jules Verne did it, because he was actually writing that... Like, when the movie was made in the 1910s, that made less sense. Because there was early, like, ideas of rockets, if I recall, being proposed then. When he wrote the story back in, like, 1870-something, that was fairly logical. And apparently he even worked out where you should launch a space mission from. Looked at the moons on this orbital trajectory. We need to get it there, and with the least chance of error, so you might as well launch along the same plane that it's on.
Yeah, and that's why NASA is set in Florida, is because of, like, the lowest gravitational pull or something? I forget. I think it was something like that.
Well, also, just a lot things orbit around that. Our equator is kind of almost along, like, the plane that almost everything exists on.
Yeah.
In space, or, like, in our solar system, at least. There's I can't remember what the term is, but things more or less in our galaxy are on the same elevation. Well, elevation isn't a real thing in space, but they're, like, aligned on one plane, the same y-axis, because I think the objects that were not on that course kind of just got smushed into ones that were on that course over time. So the idea is, when you launch from Florida, is that if you launch on that plane, you can reach pretty much everything with enough mass and thrust. But you know what we didn't discuss when we were talking about VHSs? We didn't discuss Technicolor. A lot of people don't know this, but Technicolor wasn't really shot in color when it was made. It was shot in black and white, but 3 different shades of black and white, then dyed 3 individual colors and recombined it to color. It was very hard to film with cameras that did Technicolor. They were very weighty and hard to maneuver. And that's why a lot of early movies are shot with Technicolor, are not a whole lot of moving camera. Very simplistic, almost like theater-like shots.
Yeah.
Like with a theater production, you'd have a stationary camera and a scene would play out.
Sometimes they would film behind glass, right? They would film behind glass and have the microphone separate so that the sound doesn't interfere. The
one thing that Technicolor did do very, very was for post-processing, before editing software, or software in general, is if you wanted to set a dark tone to a scene, you could just adjust the dye color balance.
Yeah.
And you get, like, a really profound effect.
Yeah.
And with some movies, I think that effect is not parallel in our modern with our modern software, because a lot of the time, particularly with modern shows, I get fed up all the time that everything looks so dark.
Oh, yes.
And none of the colors are, like, stand out at all. When I was looking at Suicide Squad, that movie, I mean, that's a bad movie for other reasons, but did you see the color palette? It's all just, like, everything has a dark filter over it.
Yeah.
It's almost like in the Fallout games where they just put a color filter over everything.
Well, like how Deus Ex Human Revolution was, like, all orange. Oh yeah, did you know that the reason why Game Boy Colors and Game Boy Advance colors were, like, really, really bright was so that it would, like, shine through that backlighting? Yeah, the backlight issue. Because the original Game Boy and Game Boy Color didn't have backlighting, So if you like held the Game Boy like to like block out the light, you couldn't see it. You have to like have the Game Boy downward and have the light shining on your Game Boy. And I would know this because I have an original Game Boy with the original Tetris cartridge.
That would explain it, but the Game Boy Advance was still really bad for not being able to see the screen.
Yeah,
they didn't figure out backlights till the SP.
Yeah, it was a front light. The light was in front of the screen, not behind it. So
really?
That's why they had to have
the SP.
The two models of the SP. The first one was front lit, and the second one was backlit.
Which how do you tell the difference between the two?
Well, actually, I have the original Game Boy Advance SP, and I know because my version is AGS-001, which is front lit, and the AGS-101 is backlit. So the one I have is front lit.
They both fold, correct?
Yeah, they both fold.
I have a Advanced SP as well. How do you tell which model it is? I also have Tetris in mine.
Yeah. Of course, it's a Tetris machine. It's AGS-001 is front lit in the voice version, and AGS-101 is
where
backlit.
is that like described?
On the back. On the back, it says model number.
You know what it might be? I think someone ripped off the sticker.
Oh, someone ripped off the sticker. I mean, you can tell just by looking and turning your head a bit and looking at it. You can see if the light is in front or back. It's funny. You also have a Tetris. Is it the original? The original Game Boy cartridge that sticks out? Yeah, same. That's funny.
Is your CMOS battery dead? Mine's dead, so I don't save any of my scores. That sucks about the cartridges of old, is that they needed a battery.
Oh, that? Yeah, I think mine's dead too, because mine doesn't save scores either.
Cartridges in Game Boys, eventually they have a battery in them, and if it runs out, it doesn't save your scores, because they hadn't figured out solid-state technology yet, I don't think.
Huh, that's interesting. I just thought you would have to keep it on all the time. That's just one of the things about old technology.
I'm surprised Nintendo didn't experiment with micro hard drive. Moving parts though.
Moving parts
can go wrong. VCRs break a lot because of all the moving parts in them. VCR repair is terrible. I had a TV and VCR combined that I was going to do amazing things with. The VCR in it was broken. And since the VCR would take priority over everything else on the TV, it just wouldn't let the TV turn on.
Damn.
Also, the VCR ate my tape.
Damn.
I was upset. It was The Mask. Probably should have tested it with a worse movie. Like The Mask 2.
Son of the Mask.
Yeah, The Son of the Mask was a very disturbing movie.
I remember seeing it as a little kid and being fucking terrified.
CGI was not good enough for you to do that yet. It looked like the dancing baby wallpaper.
The dancing baby gif.
Yeah, it was not great. By Windows 7, Microsoft had not put a GIF viewing capability into their software.
Oh yeah, I remember that. That sucks.
I refused to upgrade past Windows 7, and yes, I have it on the classic theme.
Oh yeah, classic theme, love it. You're such a fucking classic. I love it.
Everyone who sees my classic theme asks me immediately what version of Windows I'm running. They think I'm running 98 or something.
If you want a good viewer for Windows that views GIFs and is just generally really great, the one I use is
this
Nomax.
The sponsorship spot?
No, it's Nomax Image Lounge. That's what I use. It views images great. You can crop it. You can spin it around. You can watch GIFs. Nomax Image Lounge is better.
I have enough trash on my computer for programs for viewing files I'll never view again. I had a Minecraft server briefly, just for a bunch of the boys. Yeah. It was actually a bit of fun, but people ruined it. And I still have the file viewer for viewing remote servers on my computer, and I have I just never delete things. So I know if I download that and I don't need it anymore, I just will never delete it.
Do you have a lot of hard drive space?
I only have a terabyte, but I manage it very efficiently. I have a problem with my image folder where I never organized it, so now I just have a incredible stash of images that have nothing to do with anything. And I'm not going to organize them because that will take way too much time.
You gotta record it and then make a YouTube video.
That's what you did. There's probably some algorithm that'll sort it for me.
But it can't sort it the way that you can find it, because you can only find it the way that you name your files and everything.
This is true. That's something that's really died on B, is YLYL threads. Well, at least them being good.
They've always been bad.
Now they're a different kind of bad.
Different kind of bad. You're right. I know. I get what you mean, though, in that, like, there's different types of bad. There's old 4chan bad, where it's like banana peel, cockmongler, old 4chan.
I thought the banana peel was kind of funny by the end of it because people were just getting so angry about this image being posted. I miss Spider-Man invading the lolly threads, personally.
Spider-Man, god damn it. When's the last time I've seen Spider-Man invade a thread? It's been so long.
I think the last time it happened on 4chan, I did it. It was like a month ago.
No one raids threads of old 60 Spider-Man. That's sad. So much 4chan fucking lingo is gone. Like, for example, no one ever says "ant-hero" anymore when they talk about suicide.
It's just me, or people not say fag anymore.
They never say OP as a faggot.
Well, they say that a lot, but they don't address each other because the go-to term for addressing each other just used to be fag.
And now it's just NPC, shill, cuck, beta, new male boy.
Yeah, Pole kind of decided to co-op the 4chan. Hopefully Pole dies pretty quick.
Yeah.
Full of 12-year-olds who are Trump supporters and love to pwn libtards.
Yeah, they should make like a media reviewing site, like Metacritic or something, where you review movies and video games, but you rate it solely on how many SJWs complained out of 10. Because all these people who want to consume media solely to own the libs. They can just rate it by how many libs will be destroyed by you watching it.
That's kind of why I... Like, the general 4chan changes are kind of why I created my Discord server. I want a 4chan, but I want more tailored to what I like and what people like me like.
Yeah.
I mean, my server keeps self-destructing itself every once in a while. Not Bohemian Grove is my server.
We can link it if you want. So, like, I was saying how you can feel like the music or film feels more important when you can hold it and stuff. And even though you're consuming the media the same media, no matter what medium you consume it through, it's kind of like the idea that technology is making consuming media less valuable. It's like you're consuming junk food, You can just go on YouTube and skim through YouTube and just keep clicking the recommendation feed. It's not like going to a movie theater. And I think that's the easiest example, right? Because I love going to the movie theater, The large room, the seats, the projection from behind you. And because it's a set schedule, you can't watch it whenever you have to plan for it. It's usually like a social event, I love going to the movies.
I don't like to watch movies alone.
Yeah.
I'm more about physical music than movies. I'm not the hugest movie fan. When I do watch a movie, it's usually a comedy or something I can just make fun of. Like this wacky documentary on Netflix called Stan Romanek, An Alien Story, which basically it's a requirement for being my friend. You have to watch that with me at some point and make fun of it because it's excellent because the filmmakers are completely on board with this dude who claims he sees aliens and have no skepticism whatsoever, but it's just so obvious he's faking it. We should do an underground, Twitch streaming of it someday.
Yeah. Oh, I was just saying that I like the experience of the movie theater as opposed to watching it in your home. And we...
Well, I'm not the best person to talk to the movie theater about because my town doesn't even have one.
Oh, man.
Welcome to rural Canada.
Damn. There's a movie theater near where I live that's a $4 movie theater. And it plays the movies that are just going to, that are about to leave the theater, but aren't the newest movies, It's like in the in-between.
So they have to pay less to screen them, in other words?
Yeah, so me and my dad would go there, pretty often just because it's a lot cheaper. And we'd watch all the movies and collect all the fucking movie points on our Regal cards or whatever shit. Back when I was younger, what me and my family would do was that every Friday was movie night. And we would bake pizza. It's not delivery and it's not DiGiorno's. We would get the dough and the sauce and the cheese and the pepperoni, make it from scratch every Friday. And we would watch a Netflix movie, but it's not the streaming service because this is before the streaming service existed. Because originally, Netflix would send DVDs in the mail.
I wonder if there's going to be a return of that for other services, like rent a vinyl.
That'd be good. Rent an 8mm film projector.
Yeah, that's another thing. Watching something on a projector is very nice. We actually have digital projectors, but
yeah.
I think having a film projector might be very nice because you can probably find a lot of stuff like absolutely ancient cartoons that never got digitized that you can only see on film, and it's very limited in how long it can last. Like for example, if you don't take care of your film well enough, it will stick together and you can never get it apart. And that's just the entire reel done.
Damn.
Like there was some episodes of a cartoon from the early 1910s that they had to recover using scanning X-ray machines because they were the only copies of this cartoon that existed on film, and they couldn't unstick it without destroying the film in the process. In a certain sense, when we digitize things, we make it much safer, and I'm pretty sure there's no one making film things anymore.
Yeah, just Quentin Tarantino, who's filming things on real film. It costs $1,500 for 10 minutes of film, apparently.
Well, yeah, film is going way up. I had a film teacher, or a photography teacher, who was talking about how film has tripled in price for the past 5 years. That
Damn.
and film paper. I don't know if you ever did proper photography class, but you go in, you actually project the image onto light sensitive paper. It's something like $100 a package now. And when you're working in a school system that is already budget sensitive, it's just you can't afford that shit. But the problem with digital is that when you have film, I think you are more likely to take more meaningful images.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what people say when they work with film, is that every shot counts. You can't just take selfies in front of the mirror 50 times because you'd use up all your film.
I found when I was using the digital cameras in film class, it was just I was taking pictures around bullshit.
Yeah.
Correcting everything in Photoshop and not finding any images I actually did cherish.
Every shot counts.
The only images I actually did on digital was one where I made a mistake, and it just it turned out as an absolutely beautiful image of my friend's face.
Nice.
I don't know what the hell happened. It the flash went off in a certain way where it made him look like a mystical being.
Disposable cameras. When I was younger, I would always my parents would buy me a disposable camera.
I forgot those even existed.
I know.
Do they make those anymore?
They do. They sell them. They're $5, and they have a little film in it, and you can go and develop it and everything.
It's probably super expensive to get developed, though.
Maybe. But, yeah, it's you can get, that authentic film look using disposable cameras. Yeah, when I was, 4 years old or whatever, we would travel around in the early 2000s around the world and stuff, and then they would give me a disposable camera, and they'd be like, go ahead, take pictures, I want to see the world through your eyes, my dad would say to 4-year-old me. Click, 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 and, move the film and everything.
That's one thing that disposable cameras I remember being very good at is tactile feedback.
Oh, yeah.
Something that's lost a lot of the time.
Oh, yeah.
That's why, to bring it back to the Model M, that's why everyone loves it.
Yeah, and yeah, it's when you take pictures on your phone, you're tapping a touch button. You're not tapping a real button on a camera.
When I used a membrane keyboard, I found myself slamming on the keys to get some tactile feedback. Even in first-person shooters, there has to be a tactile feedback whenever you make a hit. I keep talking about Fallout, but it's the only thing I've been playing lately. But the problem with New Vegas and with 4 was that there was no tactile feedback whenever you hit an enemy, so you were just very confused on whether you hit them or not.
Yeah,
and it made the shooting feel really clunky. So that's an example of digital tactile feedback to the point where you just need your brain to be stimulated in a certain way. So I guess it's not really tactile, but just a general feedback making you feel like you did something. Like elevators, for example, have fake closed door buttons that make noises when you press them a lot of the time, just to make people feel like they're doing something. And it'll make them think that the doors are closing faster, but in reality, they're really not.
Really not. You always see that in horror movies where someone wants the elevator and they're slapping that closed door key.
Yeah, little do they know it doesn't actually do anything.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say about Friday movie night that my family would have with pizza and stuff, was that we only watched, because you couldn't watch Netflix on a streaming service, you could only watch a movie, once a week, because it had to come in the mail, and then you mail it back when you're done. So movies were a lot more special, and we had a whole family tradition around it. And now, whenever my mom comes home from work, she's tired, and then she binges Netflix until she goes to bed. It means less now than it did when you got to DVD. It doesn't matter the quality of the DVD or anything. It's just that you have to choose what you watch on Netflix a lot more seriously because you have to get it mailed to you.
I guess you could say the same thing about video games too. Now that we have digital downloads even on console.
And you can refund it immediately in 24 hours.
Games feel a lot less meaningful. I have 200 games, and I've played like 50 of them probably over 10 hours.
Yeah, it's not... Yeah, like, it's... When you had to choose a game, it wasn't scrolling through your Steam library. You had to open your case, take out the disc, open up your GameCube, put the game in, close it, let the BIOS play it. It was doop-a-doop-a-doop-a-doop-a-doop-a-doop-a-doop. And then when you're done, you turned off the console, put the controller back under the TV, you know? People want an experience, even if it's all placebo.
Yeah, that's another reason people still go out and buy games on disc, like even PC games, which is pretty rare now, and most of the time they just have a Steam download code in them.
Yeah, plus the games are too big for disc anymore. There would be like, there's like 3 discs for Max Payne 3, I remember that.
I wonder if there's going to be like a new format for outside of computer drive media.
It's SD cards.
Yeah, but there's no games being released on SD card unless you count the Nintendo Switch's cartridges.
Yeah, like something like that, like a cartridge that's flash memory.
I'm wondering if like there'll be a revival of games actually being on what you buy.
Yeah.
To make them feel more meaningful.
Yeah, it's like you put in your NES game and it says like updating. You have to get all your patches. Yeah, I mean, how many like songs begin with the crackle of a needle landing on the record, or begin with like a cassette being placed into a cassette player? Like songs will begin with that to like create a placebo effect if you like putting in the music.
I like little introductions to my songs.
Yeah.
I think that's part of the reason I like to listen to YouTube playlists, is because a lot of the time that they'll be the artist talking about the song for a bit before they actually play it. Recording of Neil Young playing Heart of Gold, where he like spends the first 24 seconds of it just messing with his harmonica.
Nice.
It gives the illusion of you actually being there and listening to this guy.
Yeah, that's why people still listen to recordings of live performances. It's like, you're really there.
But some recordings of live performances, they cut out the intro to the song. That's like, what are you doing? You just defeated the purpose.
Oh, you know about hidden tracks on like CDs and stuff?
No, I don't.
The main method of hidden tracks on albums and stuff is that just like it just won't be listed on the track listing, and it'll like play after the last song. They'll be like, on a Nirvana's Nevermind, there was a 10 minutes of silence, and then a Nirvana song played after that. That's usually how they hid it. But there's actually another way, and that's to hide it in the pregap or track 0 of a CD. Because CD is digital, what they would do is they would begin the CD where the index says track 1 begins. But you can just manually hit rewind on a CD and it'll keep playing backwards before track 1, and then you can hide more music in the CD behind track 1. And that's called track 0 or the pregap hidden track.
Really? Do you have any examples of hidden tracks besides the Nirvana one?
There's a lot of examples. I can hidden tracks from like Boards of Canada, hidden tracks.
Did you know Boards of Canada inspired David Bowie's last album?
Of course. Her Majesty, off of Beatles' 1969 album Abbey Road, is considered the first hidden track in recording history.
Well, on Abbey Road, wouldn't that not be on a CD then?
It'll be on an LP pressing, but what they would do is they'd have like a couple of like seconds or like a minute of silence, and you would think the record's over, and then the next song will play, and you're like, oh shit, I didn't know there's an extra song.
Something that is not really around anymore. I guess you could do hidden files on a
actually, what's his name? Marilyn Manson's Mechanical Animal CD. If you placed it into your computer, it would open up it would auto run an exe that would like show like a scary image and play a hidden track. So it was a Marilyn Manson song, but you couldn't play it in the CD player. You had to play it into your computer and have the auto run play.
Well, but that's something you can't really do anymore because, what kind of people buy?
Yeah,
I guess for cars, but not a lot of people buy things on CD anymore.
I think it's cool because hidden tracks are like built into the medium of the recording, like medium. The pregap is reliant on the CD technology. Oh yeah, there's also vinyls that are double grooved, so that you have like 2 sides on the same side. It's called a 3-sided vinyl because it'll be double grooved, and depending on thing. Yeah, it is. It's cool.
That sounds like it'd be incredibly hard to get the track you wanted, the vinyl you wanted.
Yeah.
If you got dust on it, it would skip like a motherfucker, it sounds like. That's another thing that digital downloads can't do. They can't be damaged.
Yeah.
Really. They can be corrupted, but...
they can be compressed.
For the most part, they can't be damaged unintentionally.
Monty Python's 3-sided Matching the Tie and Handkerchief album in 1973 was considered a multi-sided record because side 2 had 2 different pairs of grooves, and depending on where you place the stylus, it would play one of the 2 things. So
that sounds like a very Monty Python thing to do. They probably, one of those tracks was just a bunch of nonsense. We never did finish our point on Technicolor, or my point on Technicolor, where that by changing the dye composition of things, you could get a much more profound effect with color saturation than you can even with modern software a lot of the time. Because a Technicolor consultant was a real thing, where they would consult you on like what you wanted to do. Like, think if the colors were slightly darker in Wizard of Oz, would the movie have as much of an effect on you?
Yeah, because that one was really bright and poppy.
It was meant to seem like a wonderland. Other movies, it's like they'll dull other colors and raise others. And if you wanted to put danger into a shot, you just add more red.
Fucking...
This podcast is all over the place. We skip between topics like
that's why I said
shuffle.
That's why I said you should have like 3 main topics. Did you want to cover the Earth shape before we end it?
What shape do you think the Earth is?
I think we actually live on the inside of the Earth, and it's shaped like a ball, but on the inside it's concave.
Well, in the 1930s, the Nazis were not the higher echelons of the Nazis, the SS, wacky people like Heinrich Himmler, were not entirely convinced that the Earth was a ball.
Of course.
And they thought it was a concave sphere with space in the middle of it. Like the stars and the heavens and the sun and all that. So what they did is they took an SS special officer and they sent them to some place, I think it was Sweden, to look at a certain angle at the sky and spy on the British. It was not conclusive, to say the least. They kind of figured out the Earth was a ball.
Yeah, I love how, like, other than Hitler, like, a lot of the other higher-ups of the Nazis were, like, totally into occult shit.
Heinrich Himmler was one of the worst for that.
Yeah.
He had a lot of... He was hiring paranormal investigators, stuff like that.
Yeah, that shit makes great alternate history World War II stories.
You mean the entire series of Wolfenstein just being based around Heinrich Himmler actually discovering?
Or Indiana Jones.
Or Indiana Jones, yeah.
Yeah, all of that.
The Nazis do carry a certain mystique to them, where it's like the last era of maybe
Old
there's
world.
some spooky shit out there, we don't know.
Yeah, before we went to the moon, you know.
Once we went to the moon, it's like, Actually, that never happened, remember, Charles?
Oh, yeah. There wasn't even a moon to go to. It's all a hologram.
I think that's the first time I've addressed you by name this whole time. I don't know if I'm supposed to use your power word or not.
Charles?
Yeah, your power word.
Charles. Yes, that's my power
Definitely.
word.
Hear him quiver as I say Charles.
Ah!
Definitely his real name. A lot of people seem to want to think the Nazis were capable of way more than they were. Like the Nazi moon conspiracies.
Yeah.
I don't know why the Nazis carry the mystique about them like they were super geniuses who were able to unravel scientific marvels 100 years ahead of time.
German engineering, greatest in the world.
Except for the fact that they over-engineered their tanks to the point where they kind of lost the war. The shape of the Earth argument is very interesting that people would think the Earth is flat now, considering that the Earth would be a very wacky place to live on if it was flat. Your eye is a fisheye lens, and it it curves the sides of the Earth.
Yeah, my favorite is the flat Earth sun and moon clock, and it showed like a sun and moon on a flat Earth spinning around the center. And it's like, this is the real lap of the Earth, and it's like, a phone app, but they get all the information from satellites, to calculate that.
I want to know what technology NASA uses to keep their satellites up in the air. Apparently they think there's like this bunch of UN boats that just kind of float around the rim near the Antarctic, stopping people from leaving the Earth.
Yeah, even though like no one cares.
Yeah, there was literally a video of people just going to Antarctica for fun.
The UN will shoot you down.
They'll stop you. That ice wall. You're gonna climb it, and then you'll tell the whole world. Oh, that's another thing the Nazis believed.
The ice wall.
Or I think it was the Nazi. This has Nazi origins. Was that Antarctica is the entrance to the Hollow Earth?
Yes, the Hollow Earth. The North and South Pole are entrances to the Hollow Earth. Because the idea is that like people inside the Earth would like be an older civilization than people on the outside.
And that Hitler is currently living on the inside of the Earth.
Have you heard the conspiracy theory that flat Earth popularity is a hoax to distract people and discredit them from real conspiracies?
No, I have not heard that conspiracy.
Yeah, it's a meta conspiracy to discredit conspiracies or shitty conspiracies.
There's people in the alt-right who think that certain members of the alt-right are like Richard Spencer is a left-wing mainstream media plant to make the alt-right look bad.
It's the best.
Occam's razor can fix this problem. You just go, well, maybe the alt-right is just bad. What kind of audience does your channel get? Am I going to get shouted off the platform for that?
No.
Do you have any alt-right members on your server? I have a feeling that they wouldn't get along very well with the Tulpa people and the
one of the Tulpa
Wiccans.
One of the Tulpa people like spouts the N-word and says that black people are dumb. So we only did that once.
Oh,
so
are his Tulpas like the high-ranking members of the SS?
Yeah.
Hitler Tulpa?
Hitler Tulpa.
The difference is you collect interesting people, I collect horrible people.
I get like the 13-year-old who comes in like spouting about his like own secret planet in the astral plane, and like starts telling us his like roleplay stories and he believes them. It's pretty great.
You know that guy I was talking to you about who's kind of like us, where we just have a massive amount of useless knowledge?
Yeah.
That guy actually contacted me out of the blue, like a day after I told you about him, how I hadn't had contact with him for 6 months. Turns out he's like not using Discord anymore, and he's like gone into the dark on some weird like IRC direct message to each other thing, because Discord is too lamestream or something, or the CIA is tracking him through this.
Exactly, of course.
Bit of a weirdo, that guy. Yeah, he was telling me about how he wanted to start a nation of cargo ships in the middle of the Pacific Ocean.
Outer Haven, the Metal Gear. That's what they did in Metal Gear. They just created a island out of metal.
I don't play Metal Gear, but yeah, he just wanted to buy a bunch of cargo ships, string them all together, and make a nation in the middle of the ocean, so he didn't have to deal with my government trying to steal my gun.
Goberman. There's a Yahoo News like ask where someone says, "What can I do to stop the Goberman from taking my children away?" And it's spelled Gober for B. And the number one response was learn how to spell government, and maybe you can keep your children.
I think Yahoo Answers may actually be keeping Yahoo alive at this point.
Yeah.
That and Yahoo News. For some reason, Yahoo News is very influential.
I mean, they did call me a racist, so...
Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot about that.
Yahoo News just called me a racist.
Where they wrote an article about that.
It was called The Amazing World of Paul Blart Mall Cop Fanfiction. And because there's only 5 in existence, they mentioned mine and call me a racist. Because in my story, Paul Blart is a leader of fat racism.
Fat racism.
Yeah, and he was trained by his sensei Wilford Brimley to use his diabetes powers in self-defense to protect his culture of fat racism.
Is Wilford Brimley still alive?
I don't know. He's got type 2 adult onset diabetes. I don't know. Diabetes.
I feel like we're living in a dark world if Wilford Brimley isn't alive still. Diabetes. That's a old meme.
Yeah.
Not oldest. Not orange translucent chainsaw old.
Can I read the summary that Yahoo News gave for my story?
No. Yes.
Okay, so the story is Paul Blart Mall Cop 6, Duelist of the Roses. Summary. This is listed as a parody, but it's really just a weird mashup of Paul Blart, anime Yu-Gi-Oh!, kids show The Wiggles, and awful racism. Basically, the very loosely defined plot involves Blart going around Detroit, yelling at minorities, and eventually escaping to Ferguson to commit minor hate crimes. It's unclear whether the author is racist or just imagining Paul Blart as a terrible, terrible person, but as the author writes with the username Lee Harvey Oswald, he gives a pretty strong indication it's the former. Excerpt. Paul Blart was surprised by this as he turned around and ejaculated ectoplasm onto Yugi's face while yelling, "Bah!" like Hank Hill.
Wasn't this actually part of the marketing for Mall Cop 2 though? Wasn't this something they did because Mall Cop 2 was actually just coming out?
Yeah, that's why he wrote the article, was because 2 came out.
Well, I assume they would have got paid for that, so yes.
Part of the marketing campaign.
Yeah, you're part of the marketing campaign. Maybe you can go claim some money from the makers of Mall Cop 2 because you were part of their marketing campaign and never got compensated for it.
Of course. Apparently, because in my story, Paul Blart was like a ridiculous character that like stole candy from black babies and shit. That he was like, I was a racist.
You just decided to write that for just because?
I when I was younger, I wrote a lot of like fan fictions, but they aren't really fan fictions. They're just short comedy stories, like Blue's Clues versus the Mafia, where the Blue's Clues character, where Steve can't pay for college. So what happened in the show was that Steve was
Oh yeah, I know about that.
Yeah, Steve left the show to go to college, and then Joe took over. And
one of the most wholesome exits from a show ever.
Yeah, so at the beginning of Blue's Clues with the Mafia, I write, Steve was coming back to college and met his brother Joe. Hey Steve, how did you get the money to go to college? Our family isn't exactly rich. Well, Joe, I made meth in our basement. I thought you would have found it out by now. Also, I made some bad investments with the Mafia, and now they're gonna bring everyone to God to destroy this place. What? You wait to tell me this now? I wasn't thinking straight. I took a lot of drugs, because, college.
Does it end with Steve being murdered and Blue has to find the clues on who murdered him?
No, it's actually, Blue's Clue was, on the Beretta M9 he had on his sidearm, and when he was playing dead at the end and the Mafia boss came over him, the blue paw print appeared on the Beretta, and he looks down like, what the hell? And then he pulls out the gun and says, you didn't find Blue's Clue, and then blows his brains out. And then he sits in the wreckage of his house that was blown up by a helicopter missile, and he just sits back on the couch with his handy-dandy notebook.
So how many of these did you write, all these fan fictions?
So I wrote... And then, so I wrote this. I wrote the sequel, Blue's Clues with the Mafia 2 Revelations, which is a prequel set 1 week before Steve left for college and explores his life as a pimp. That's honestly my favorite story I wrote was the sequel, Blue's Clues with the Mafia 2 Revelations. You should watch the YouTube video I have where me and some other friends read it and laugh at it. But there's that, Paul Blart Markup 6, the Neckbeardians, which I wrote in 2014 before Neckbeards was a cancerous meme. But the story was that a tribe of neckbeards weren't raptured during the second coming of Carl Sagan and must survive the atheist apocalypse. So in the prologue I write, it all started at Skepticon 2014, a convention for atheists, when people started to get raptured. They were quickly sucked into atheist heaven. The naked bodies covered the air with the clothes left on the floor they stood on. Many just left a fedora as the evidence on place on Earth. While others left Guy Fawkes masks, trench coat, cargo shorts, and various nerdy merchandise. The skeptics, feminist atheists, that weren't raptured got in Tumblr to complain. Over the course of time, all the neckbeards get raptured. The Pope comes out to speak, but then Carl Sagan comes down with a Buster Sword and kills him in front of everyone. And then in the sequel, we have our main characters trying to take a pilgrimage to Sweden, the most atheist country in the world. So the main character, whose name is anonymous, and his weeaboo friend Patrick take a plane trip, and then when they're flying over Britain, an atheist terrorist blows it up, and they start falling to their apparent death. let me read the passage. Damn it, I can't die a virgin. Now would be a good time to rapture us, Carl Sagan. Patrick opened up his suitcase and pulled out his pillow waifu. Quick, take out your waifus. They can protect us of our love. I pulled out my 8 pony plushies and wrapped myself in the warmth as we hit the ground of a thud. Both of us survived, but our pillow waifus were destroyed upon impact. And then in the next chapter, they're in London and they go to FedoraCon, where they meet Alex, the paranormal schizo, who uses tulpas as stands to fight people.
I remember when I first met you that I asked you what is your most hated group on the internet, and you just said flat out political YouTubers and the general internet atheists.
Yeah, and this originated from 2014 when I wrote this.
Well, they were particularly potent and obnoxious.
Yeah. The only other stories I wrote were the Philadelphia experiment, where it's just a short story about a fake Morpheus coming to a guy to tell him to come to the Matrix, and he has 2 pills. You take the blue pill, you stay an asshole. You take the red pill, and I show you how deep my asshole goes. And then the blue pill was LSD, and the red one was roofies, and he was going to rape him. And he was like, take the correct pill and enter the gay tricks. There's some other stories that I deleted because they were so bad. It was The Walking Nerds, which is like The Walking Dead, but they're with nerds. And
Man,
The
I hate
Walking
The Walking Dead.
I deleted it because it's so bad. Because it was like my first story. And then there's The Walking Nerds 2 Unabomber Man, which is the story of Demolition Man, but with a Unabomber who is frozen in a time capsule and has to fight Walt Disney, Hitler, and Justin Bieber, who was the best man at the samurai sword and was frozen after killing 23 teenage girls.
The Unabomber's still alive. There's a chance that on internet time at prison, he's read your story.
That would be beautiful.
Wouldn't you feel blessed?
I would feel blessed. He's a tragic hero.
Something tells me that he isn't, though, because of his whole thing against technology.
And then there's a Final Evolution Perfect Charizard's Christmas special, which is a Christmas special about the most overpowered character in all of fiction. It's like traveling through time and like fucking up everything. No one would like that though. And then there's my last story, Cantalumbine Attack, where Anonymous attacks the My Little Pony high school with Eric Harris, Dylan Klebold, and Adam Lanza all dressed as the 4 Teletubbies.
Wow. You need to do readings of these on your channel.
I did the reading of
you did the reading of
Blue's Clues, but I haven't done the other ones. I was into writing when I was younger, but now I make YouTube videos instead.
You make some pretty good YouTube videos.
Yeah.
I must say.
Yeah.
Very unique.
Yeah.
Yeah. Your style of video making almost reminds... Well, actually, it doesn't really remind me of it, but just the cult sort of small following you have does remind me of another YouTuber I know called Raul Trashlord, or Raul Gonzalez, Anti-Hunter. I actually had him on my Discord server for a bit, but he's like this small YouTuber who just makes weird videos, like I beat the shit out of a Scooby-Doo VHS tape.
Yeah, all that good stuff.
Or he puts on just death grips in the background and films with a grainy filter over one of those like bowling alley lights things. I think small little YouTubers like that are really what I like most about YouTube, that there's just these small little cult followings of people that will never quite make it big, but their fame will never quite ruin the specialness and experimental value of their content.
Yeah, because so much of YouTube content is sanitized and made to be like the most viewed thing. So when you find that stuff that's like the algorithm didn't want you to find, it feels a lot more special.
It also becomes like bigger YouTubers become more bland because they like go, oh, this works. I'm going to do this from now on.
Yeah.
So a lot of their stuff becomes very generic.
Yeah.
I can't think of any big YouTubers that kind of broke their formula regularly, other than like, I guess, Frank, but he's no longer around. And near the end, he was even kind of getting streamlined. Like, he kept doing stuff with that group of people.
Phil Frank represented a pretty pure part of YouTube in terms of, not following the formula and just doing whatever he felt.
Yeah. He was cult for a long time.
Definitely.
He only hit it big, like, at the end. I think he quit before he even hit 1 million.
Damn. Welcome to the rice fields, motherfucker.
Welcome to the rice fields, motherfucker. You're gonna have to edit the shit out of this to make it coherent.
That's fine.
You edit your podcast a lot.
Yeah, I'll record like 1 hour and 30 and then edit it down to an hour.
I listened to that one where you were talking about I don't even have to edit this because you're not actually listening to me right now.
Yeah. Shit. I was just ranting about how when I edit my podcast to be really well paced and scripted, then it goes by people's heads because people are actually doing something else while listening to like watching other videos while listening to something. Like, oh, I wasn't paying attention to your podcast. Sorry, I'll have to re-listen to that. And I was like pissed off.
I think the problem with us being on a podcast together is I think we both have personalities more geared towards asking questions.
Huh. I think you're right.
We discussed this before.
Huh.
Shit, I need someone I can ask questions to get all the knowledge I have out of my head.
Yeah, like poke someone into talking and then I can like riff off of that, but I can't like riff by myself.
Awkward silence is the podcast.
I'll edit it out. I'll edit everything out. It'll be 30 minutes long. I'll edit it out. I'll edit it out. Do you know what Tarzan sounded like during puberty?
Yeah, I think you've told me that one before.
Shit, that was my favorite joke when I was 13. Damn it.
Well, that's something. That's actually a topic. I was talking to a friend about this recently. About how jokes kind of died with the internet. Well, they didn't really die fully. I mean, people still tell jokes occasionally, but a lot of the time in real life, it used to be all about jokes if you wanted to be funny.
Yeah.
But now you just reference images.
Now you just post the meme.
You post the meme. Nothing's actually like a joke. Nothing is structured, has a setup, and then a punchline.
Yeah, well, jokes are all about creating expectation and then subverting it. And with memes, the expectation is already set, and all you have to do is subvert the meme. But people don't even do that.
All you have to do is get a little wacky with it, and then it's funny.
A little wacky with it.
Memes came along, like you know the revival of Doge.
Oh yeah,
which wasn't even really a joke in the beginning, but like just Doge with some weird text over it.
Yeah,
and the image edited slightly. Like, okay, Lovecraft's cat.
Wasn't Lovecraft's cat called Man?
Yes, it was.
Nautical. The nautical Negro is what he called him. Something horrible. Something horrible.
His cat has actually become a debate on Lovecraft's views on race. He has nothing. He's never made any statements that would show that he would be racist. But his cat is named Man. What are the powers of the superhero Man?
Hitler's pet black person. No, let's not do this. Let's not go down this route.
No, this isn't this kind of podcast. What do you think the virtues of National Socialism are?
I think we have to answer the. I think episode 2 we got to answer the Jewish question.
I'm sure that YouTube will love that. How many episodes do we have to do before we can start complaining about how YouTube is screwing us over?
Oh yeah.
That's actually a great idea for a parody channel. Someone just makes a channel that their first video is complaining about YouTube, and all of their videos are just like, the algorithm is screwing me over again. They just come up with some elaborate scheme on how YouTube is screwing them this week.
Yeah, that's basically Aunt Lemon's channel. It's YouTube Conspiracy Theorist channel. Don't tell Aunt Lemon I said that. He knows who I am. I'm his brother.
Oh shit. I don't think people who complain about YouTube trying to intentionally screwing over certain community sections quite understand that how you make an AI in the modern day, nobody knows.
Nobody knows. Yeah.
AI just makes AI, and if something works, there's going to be some quirks to it.
Yeah, you build machines, and then they build machines that build machines that build machines until you get one that works.
And YouTube still hasn't found one that works, and everyone's complaining, oh, YouTube's intentionally demonetizing gay content. Well, actually, no, they're not. They're not intentionally doing anything.
The robots.
Like, even most of the people who complain, oh, YouTube has intentionally demonetized my entire channel, they actually reapply for monetization. Most of the time they get it. What kind of games do you play?
I don't play video games. I play Counter-Strike sometimes, and then I play single-player games that I download and play, and then daily, like Celeste and Super Meat Boy.
I'm just going to talk to you about Duck Game.
Oh, well, okay, let's say that. I am the best at Duck Game at one point in my life. I was playing tournaments and shit. I have like 500 hours in that game, and no one ever plays that, so that's pretty high, apparently.
Aren't you like one of the top players in the world, though?
I'd say that I was at that time of my life, because I was playing every single day to build skill. So I just had like consistent practice and stuff, and I was playing with the best. This guy, who I think at the time was the best. At the time, I think personally he was the best Duck Game player ever, and I've gone to finals with him, and then he beat me, and I was like, oh shit.
But they actually organize official tournament?
It's a Steam group called Quack Cocaine, and they gather the best players and have tournaments. Yeah,
that's a great name for.
During the first Quack Cocaine tournament, they actually sent like a trophy to the guy who won. They mailed it to him, and it had like.
Oh, it was actually officially like.
It wasn't official. It's not official at all.
Oh, okay, so
yeah. So when I played the tournaments, I would consistently get quarterfinals and semifinals pretty consistently. So I was definitely in the top like 8-ish because all the best players would play. And only one time I got to finals, and then I lost to this guy who was the best. But yeah, I would say I'm in like the top 20, top 30 best players of all time. And then I stopped playing for a year, and I got back, and I lost all my mojo. So I'd say I'm not anymore. Yeah, I'd say I'm not the best anymore. I like maybe top 150, 200, but I don't know. I haven't played a lot. But at one point, I was the best.
Anyway, you should probably end this and try and get something coherent out of it.
Alright, so you gonna upload this to your channel?
Depends how it turns out.
Good point. Alright, well, that's the end of Not Bohemian Grove podcast. Tune in next time where we might plan it better. Or something.